You know, what if I just decided to make a video like this? All right, so let's talk, because I haven't seen many content creators talk about autism. While some tend to make subtle hints that they are on the spectrum, or they'll mention that they do have autistic characteristics, a lot of content creators have not talked about what is going on with autism and how having this sort of thing is actually not a problem within society, and people misunderstanding what autism is the problem. Now, the whole point of me making this video is to shed some light on autism and to give somebody hope that is in this sort of situation, because autism tends to be looked at as a very negative way, especially within media. And I just want to call it out and say that it's total BS. You can achieve a lot with this sort of thing, but you have to understand who you are and what it represents to you. Now, there is a lot of things that I do that showcase that I have autism, that I am on the spectrum, and that is very much true. It's definitely not fake news. The first thing that I want to talk about is my experience with it, because there are a lot of things that I have dealt with that I need to, kind of talk about and give somebody hope to, move past it. Eye contact is definitely an issue for me. I struggle really hard with it. It is just something that happens to me regardless, and even in a lot of my videos, I struggle to look at the camera. A lot of times whenever I'm talking to somebody and I have so many things that I want to say, I tend to visualize the words that I'm going to say, right here. This is where I visualize what I'm going to say. And it actually comes out fluent, but I just don't have the eye contact to back it up with somebody, which can be struggling for somebody who doesn't understand autism. Another key element of what I do is repetition. I think the reason why I tend to be really good at something like producing a video is because of the repetition involved. Now, whenever it breaks, my mind automatically jumps to, oh, it can't be completed. I can't have the completion done. I can't complete it. It won't be done. And I start panicking. I start freaking out. I think that a lot of what I do with numbers and accounting wise, because that is some of the field that I work in, is because of the autism and how in depth that I go into whenever I'm researching something or whenever I'm investigating how the numbers flow, how the numbers move. And I'm bringing this up because I want to make hints that whenever I was a kid, puzzles were my thing. I loved puzzles. I still love puzzles. I think that making videos to this day are a puzzle, because you have to come up with creative ways to make things pop, to make things work. So whenever I was missing a puzzle piece out of the puzzle, I would throw a fit because it wasn't complete. This repetition can be seen as a negative way, but it also can be seen as a positive, as in if you're creating music or you're creating a masterpiece of a film. Obviously, that DJ mixer behind me is something that I used to use quite often. I used to make videos with it, and it's now just something that I play with every once in a while. But I've also gotten into the music production side of everything, and when everything flows, when everything sounds perfect, that's where being on the spectrum really shines for me. Let me just tell you that being on the spectrum can be difficult with relationships. I think we kind of misunderstand certain situations in a relationship, and it turns out to be seen as something that it's not. Sometimes it gets hard for me to read body language, and that also leads into sometimes I might sound rude, but I'm not. It's me being blunt. I'm gonna give you an example of repetition for me. There are car parts that I ordered for my car, but whenever they came in, I couldn't just sit there and not do anything. It kept repeating in my mind over and over and over that I needed to get it done, because if I didn't get it done, then it was never going to be complete. This sort of thing kind of bothers my mind to the point that I have to get it done. If it's not done, I will just be upset the rest of the day. And it sounds childish, but it's not. It's just part of being on the spectrum. I think that there is a demonizing of autism within society, that it's just wrong, it's wrongful, and we should not be this way, we should not think this way, and we should be like a little robot. And I'm here to tell you that that's all BS. There has been a lot of successful people throughout history, like this art piece behind me, that have brought forth a revolution of art. There's also been a lot of like kings, a lot of queens throughout history that were on the spectrum that were very successful at what they achieved throughout that time period. Having autism isn't something new. However, the diagnosis and the tools that we have now is fairly new, and it's made it more accessible to be diagnosed on the spectrum. Now, this diagnosis has caused certain people in the political atmosphere to really misinterpret autism altogether. That person in the political atmosphere would be RFK Jr. His speeches have brought questions towards society on asking, is it the food? Was it the lead-based paint from 50 years ago? Now, if you take a step back to 100 to 200 years ago, you will find that if you had a kid that had autism, they would be outed towards the community, and people had to hide those children from the rest of society. And the main reason for that was because a lot of people didn't want their kids to be thrown into an asylum to try to correct the situation that autism is a bad thing. This sort of narrative has come back in this current time, especially with RFK Jr. talking about autism. It seems more that we need to get rid of it. We need to hide it. We need to shun it in a way that makes these people seem crazy, that they are crazy whenever they're not. It's just who they are. I don't know about you, but I definitely don't want to go back to a time where we have to hide because of who we are. That's insanity to me. This sort of media presence that RFK Jr. has put out there has also really affected public schools in general. In my hometown, they are pushing a lot of the schools to shut down and just urging parents to do homeschooling, which to me is actually holding kids that are on the spectrum back. I struggled hard to integrate myself into society because of this sort of thing. A lot of people don't understand the autistic characteristics that I have, and so they kind of just brush me off and brush me out of being a part of society, which is exactly what the system is doing towards these kids. Now, they are also closing a lot of programs within public schools that help these kids out as much as they can. It's a wide range of things that they are closing the door on that should be helping these kids realistically integrate themselves into society. A lot of teachers in my hometown are very frustrated with the system because they see how these kids are impacted. It really gives them no place to go whatsoever, and it's basically just saying, you know, we give up on these people. They're not perfect enough. They're not good enough. They don't meet a specific criteria. It's these type of situations that make society what it is. So let's talk about the boomer impact on society that doesn't understand being on the spectrum is basically everywhere. I think that a lot of my work ethics is commendable. I'm always hyper focused on one pattern, one sequence, and that type of thing can be misunderstood. Basically what I'm getting at is I'm still being bullied in society in my 30s because of this sort of thing, which is insane. It's insanity. A lot of people find me weird. A lot of people find it weird, but it's not weird and I'm not weird. It's just part of who I am. It's part of what makes me me. The last few things that I want to touch on before I end this video is autism is a gift, so don't downplay yourself. It has created and pushed society forward for years, and just because that's something that we have seen recently, it's always been there. It's always been in society. It's just now we can study it and understand it. I do feel like certain people in political power have autism or are on the spectrum, but they don't want to admit it. There's no way that anybody who is a billionaire would have that type of money without having some type of pattern, some type of sequence that they follow each day. And let's get one thing really, really clear. Just because you are on the spectrum does not mean that it is bad. It does not mean that you should not fit into society. It means that society should fit around you. I do think that we should change the outlook of how it's looked, especially within the school systems. Like, we should not shun these kids for being different. There are a lot of people within the tech community that are very successful that have autism, that are on the spectrum. There are a lot of people within music that have autism that are within the spectrum. I think part of what makes somebody successful is for them to be themselves. With that being said, this will be the end of my video. I hope this video gives you some type of like outlook on, you know, being on the spectrum, and I really hope that it gives somebody hope. I keep saying hope, but I really do hope that this helps out in any way possible. This wasn't like a crazy editing video that I usually put out. This was just something that I've been wanting to talk about for a while because I have dealt with this sort of thing forever, and it's just sad that we can't move past this since I've been alive.